Ramon, here we are in San Francisco.
Yeah, it's amazing. Beautiful city.
Look, there's the Oakland-San Francisco Bridge.
Yeah. Oh, do you see the picnic table down there? I love kind of the rectangular kind of plastic, kind of like, ooh, it's cool. I love it. Wow.
There's AT&T Park where the Giants play.
Did you see look at the trash can, Alice. Look at the trash can. It's like red, green, the whole recycle thing. I love it.
But man. Ramon, look at the bay.
Yeah, did you see the trash? Look at the seat. It's whole like ergonomic. It's like ready just to relax.
Ramon, let's just go do the show.
Man. Alice, look, there's a pigeon. There's a pigeon. A San Francisco pigeon. Oh man. Wow, I love San Francisco. Welcome to The Ignition Show, a weekly show by Infusionsoft where we take one question and help one small business grow their business. We're the awesome Wix Lounge, so big thanks to Wix for hosting us for this episode of The Ignition Show. My name is Ramon Ray.
And I'm Ellis Friedman.
And Ellis, let people know where in the world should they email, reach, call, fax to get on The Ignition Show or contact us?
Well, Carmen Sandiego, they can email us at blog@infusionsoft.com.
Awesome. So, Alice, let's get the show on the road, and what's the question of the day?
All right, our question of the day is from Maria. My startup has recently reached 10 employees, and I've been considering taking them all to an off-site team building to get us all on the same page. But I don't know what to do, or if it would even be worth it. Should I consider an off-site, and if I should, what should I do, and how do I keep it affordable?
Wow, that's a good question. Should I even consider it?
Right.
And if I should consider, how the heck do I do it?
Exactly.
You and I are not experts in off-sites from the last time I checked.
No.
Thankfully, we have an expert who can help us with that today. And we have Alexandra Kennan today, who's the founder of Urban Hiker SF, or Urban Hiker San Francisco. She's an expert, of course, in hiking in San Francisco. But for this discussion, I hope you're an expert in off-site meetings, too. Welcome to the show.
You too. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So where would you start with Maria's question?
Yeah, so one of the things I'd start thinking about is whether you want to go on an off-site to begin with. Is your team gelling? Do you want to boost team morale? And, I think off-sites are good for a lot of reasons. They can bring people together. Often a lot of people are in work mode when they're in the office. Yeah. And getting them out of the office can help them lose that mindset and bond in a different way. When people see themselves outside of the office, they're more likely to share more of themselves and get to know one another better. Right. And if that's part of the goal to getting people to work better together, then an offsite might be a good idea.
Alexandra, I'm curious, what's wrong? Why do people have to gel? I mean, what's wrong with being in work mode? Work. It's 5 o'clock.
We don't
go
gel.
home. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So is that important to gel?
I think it is, actually. So when you think of a colleague, sometimes you just think of them as a colleague, just that. But everyone's a full human being. And when you can see someone more empathetically, you can understand their needs and their desires. And that actually applies to a work environment. So if I like you also as a person, I'm going to want to hand in that project to you. I'm going to want to beat those deadlines. But if you're just a colleague, I might say, I'm going to put it off another day. So I really do think having more of a bond with a colleague can help.
So what makes a good team builder? Like, I hear stories of lots of team builders that are just so cheesy and everyone rolls their eyes at the thing. And then I feel like that really is the opposite of what you want to happen. So what makes a good, non-cheesy team builder?
Absolutely. I agree with you. A lot of offsites can be cheesy. When I was in a corporate environment, I went on a bunch of those myself. I would just have something pass the sniff test. Like, would I want to do this activity myself? Do I think it's personally fun to go on a Segway tour? Maybe I do. Then that could be a perfect offsite. But if I end up thinking that's cheesy, that might not be the best activity for my team. Something that's also really important is making sure that everyone can be included. For example, if there's someone who doesn't drink wine, do not bring them on a wine tasting offsite. They're going to be excluded. Do not do a fun run if there's someone who has a broken leg or is physically disabled somehow. You just have to be aware of the rest of your team in order to plan a good offsite.
But how do you get through the sniff test part? I mean, you can't please everybody, Alexandra. So,
True.
half the people like this, half the people don't like this. I don't do this, Ellis does that. You can't please us both. What do you do?
That's true. You can't please everyone. So, you may end up disappointing a few people. few things I've seen done in corporate environments: give people a Google form, give them 2-3 choices, and whichever has the most votes, there you go. Maybe in that, I guess Maria's,
Democracy in action. Democracy. I love it. We can
Yeah.
vote. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does especially small business keep their offsites within like reasonable costs?
Great question. I run a one-person company with a few contractors. I'm very aware of costs. There are a bunch of ways to think about it. If you have a set budget, keep that in mind. Don't go over it. Reach out to activity providers and ask them their costs. If their costs are too high, see if they have a group rate. You're doing them a favor by bringing in 10 guests. You could also say, hey, this is my budget. I can't go over it. Can you work with me? Can we make the activity a half hour shorter? Can we do something else to make it more cost effective? Other things to think about, there are free activities. Maybe like you could do a service project together. You could do something like city walks is either free or low cost. The last thing I would think about is, are there ways to barter? For example, I run a hiking company. The Aquarium by the Bay has asked me to do something for them. They're like, hey, will you do an offsite for us if we give you all these aquarium passes for your employees or your contractors? And I thought that was a great idea. So there's always a chance to barter.
Yeah. So is there ever an instance when you shouldn't do an offsite?
Great question. I think if you have major deadlines, that's not a time to do an offsite. You know, if there's something, you know, you have employees coming in from out of town, that can be a great time to get together, do something fun.
Right.
But if you're all charging toward a deadline, that might not be the time to do an offsite.
End of quarter, probably not the best time to be doing your offsite.
Exactly.
But I mean, like time constraints aside, do you think they're always valuable?
They can be valuable. Sometimes what I've seen people do, again, since I offer the fun part of the offsite, some people do a really big strategy session in the morning, and then in order to decompress, in the afternoon they'll do something fun. So, you know, make sure you get all your work done in the morning, and then maybe you can do something in the afternoon.
And when you say offsite, does an offsite always have to be, does it necessarily mean fun and games, or can an offsite be your offsite doing work in a boardroom, or does that not qualify too much as an offsite? How do you
They can
define
be
that?
both. I mean, I've had on-site offsites where you're all strategizing, again, in the morning, in a conference room. The great thing about an offsite is really you want to change the environment a little, so maybe do work somewhere else if it is a working offsite. Change the scenery so you're not thinking about that email you have to get back to or that project you have to finish. You really want to start afresh.
Awesome.
Sounds good. Alexandra, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching The Ignition Show. As we said, a weekly show by Infusionsoft. We take one question and help out one small business owner. I'm Ramon Ray, and Alice, please remind us, how can people contact The Ignition Show?
At blog@infusionsoft.com.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out ignitionshow.com for past, future, and who knows what else episodes.
Present
Ignition Show.
episodes.